Hey everybody, Paul here, Storyboard Artist Paul Angeli, and I welcome you to our live stream today. I'm going to have some fun today, teach you some basics of some basic drawing skills for storyboarding today. I'm so happy you were able to join me. Let's see if there's anybody out there yet. Looks like we got one person here, but I appreciate you jumping on. Thanks so much. Today's stream is going to be about, like I said, about... Give me a second here. Fixing some technical stuff here. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're better here now. So today we're going to be discussing the basics of basic drawing for storyboarding, some of my personal processes, cheats, tips, sort of the process and workflow that I go through, and I'll be sharing with you today. So looking forward to it, and we'll get started over here. I primarily do all of my storyboarding in Photoshop. That's sort of my main tool here when I'm doing my professional storyboards, doing the output. I may go into Storyboard Pro, some other tools like that on the digital side. I think the first thing to get started with in talking about drawing is just the basic skill of drawing. I think there's all different types of levels of drawing we see with storyboards. If you look at the art of books, there's so many out there, and you'll see some storyboards on there going, wow, these are some fantastic artists, and I can't believe the quality of drawing that they're doing. That's not necessarily the case for when you're storyboarding and getting the process started. You're sort of seeing the end result. You're seeing the end result for a final pitch or for a final book. I think when it goes to the process of storyboarding, I've been getting a lot of DMs and chatting with a lot of professional friends out there. There's a lot of thinking work when you come into it as a storyboard artist. And those are the things that we don't get to see all the time. Those are the scratches and the doodles and thought process when a storyboard artist is working with a client or working with a director or working with a art director or art supervisor, going over what they're trying to do. It takes a lot of thinking, research, film language, cinematography, backgrounds in art and those type of things to come up with all that stuff. A lot of companies, they'll either, they'll do their little doodles on Post-it notes on a piece of paper. Now with technology, with an iPad, they're doing those scratches, and you don't get to see all that thinking process in terms of what we're doing and how we're doing it. Let's see, I have Diego. How you doing, Diego? Nice to see you. Glad you could join me today. Looks like we're sort of alone here, so I'm just going to keep going. So thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining the stream today. Like we were saying, there's a lot of thinking work and a lot of sketching. We see the final output in an art book or on a film. We don't necessarily get to see all the thinking behind putting a storyboard and storyboard drawing together. So my goal today is to sort of what my basic techniques are of how to put together a storyboard. This isn't a true art lesson. I think there's plenty of YouTube videos out there to watch if you want to become a realistic painter, graphite artist, pen artist. I know Inktober starts for a lot of people tomorrow. There's a lot of things going on too, but there's so many different tools out there to learn. I'm just going to show you sort of the way I do it and see if that helps you with your journey. One of the main things I do when I get a script or I get a client that I'm working with, I want to work as fast as possible. So I think, like they always say, time is money. The more lines and more scribbles I'm doing, the more time it's going to take to get a project done. And as a project goes from a basic storyboard, sort of rough thumbnail, to a rough that has a little bit of value to it, to all the way to a final rendered illustration / colored drawing. It takes a lot there to get going, and remember, everything you add to it is going to take more time of your time as a story artist to complete the project. My sort of goal is like I said, when I get a script or I'm working with a client, is to work as efficiently as possible to communicate. We're using art and drawing as a communication tool to communicate the first vision of a film, first vision of a feature animation, a streaming show, a cartoon, a 30-minute episode, or whatever it might be, a video game, you know, video there within the game itself, or the basics of what you're doing for an advertisement. We need to be quick. We need to be efficient. We need to be able to communicate that visual language through what we know how to do in terms of producing those skill sets. So let's continue going on here. Let me just jump. I'm going between my streaming program and the Photoshop here. I think one of the big things too, as I'm looking at stuff, let me get this going here. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. I want to make sure we can see everything here on Photoshop. Another thing I wanted to quickly talk about real quick is just the practice of drawing. We need to, for any artist, it's just a constant practice. How do I practice? I practice every day. I usually, I scribble down my practice sketches. I know a lot of folks have seen them online. Last night I was listening to my buddy Eric on his YouTube stream. He was doing storyboards on the film of The Thing. I'm sitting there doodling away on scratches of my concepts of the creature once it bursted out of the dog in the sequence, if you've seen the movie, and sort of my take on character sketches. I'm practicing all the time, so whether it be a good drawing or bad drawing, I'll be practicing all the time. Female figures, male figures, creatures, dinosaurs, whatever it is. I try to draw every day. I'd advise you to do the same. A lot of you do that. I have a series of, I don't know how many sketchbooks that I have in my studio here, and just pages after pages of storyboard and drawings that I've done. I think those are one of those things. Have a routine for yourself. You don't need to spend much time, and I don't care if you're drawn on a piece of paper, a fancy tablet, a notebook. There's so many different fancy little sketchbooks out there, but just draw on something. Draw every day, draw consistent. I like to post on Instagram, so you see a lot of my scribbles and doodles. All that pretty much stuff is either original work or, some sort of fan art that I have that I'm working on. But I just post every day to stay consistent. I'm having fun with it. I'm practicing. I'm learning. I think that's another thing about being a storyboard artist or just being an artist in general. I'm always learning all the time. I have my people that I love looking at their artwork, or love watching their films, or reading their comic books, or reading their scripts or stories or novels, or playing that game or watching that ad, and it really struck me as cool stuff, and that's something that I want to work on all the time. So I'm always improving all the time. So it's having that sketchbook on you, doodling whenever you can, learning, having some sort of way to validate your learning. What's nice is if I go back to my Instagram feed and I go back way to the beginning, I see the artwork that I started posting a long time ago, and I'm going, wow, how far have I come, in terms of my own skill sets, in terms of what I'm doing, and also over my career of how I used to draw when I was back in the day in high school or college. I'd say some of those drawings are sort of funny to look at, but then you look at what you can do today. So with everything going there, Diego, I would totally do that. I started doing sketchbooking a lot. There was a gentleman, I have to get his name, but he did a summer sketchbook challenge. And I did it, I think I did it back in like 2017, 2018. And the goal was every summer to fill up a sketchbook. And what's sort of funny, Diego, is I'm sitting here, let me grab it. You know, so when I go through, I have literally, I don't know, maybe about 20, 30 of these books just completely filled with sketches, ideas, stories, all different types of stuff. And I go from time to time when I'm having an artist block and I'm like, oh yeah. And I have all different styles in there, from realistic to cartoon to feature animation to live action. I have it all. So when I'm looking for an idea or trying to, I'm having a bad art day, the hand isn't working right, I'll look through those sketchbooks and sort of get myself the inspiration back, going, hey man, you can do this. So yeah, Diego, keep that going on, buddy. You know, keep that sketching each and every day. A lot of folks recommend doing cafe sketches. That's great too, because then you're drawing realistically, you're drawing characters, you know, whether at your coffee shop or whatever you're trying to do. But have fun with that, and but sketch every day. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the drawing and sort of how I draw. You know what, Diego? I loved your text there. Next project should be publish a sketchbook. You know what? I've been contacted by a lot of people going, Paul, hey, Paulie, is there a sketchbook I can buy from you? And that's something I never even thought about. And I'm going, wow, okay, I'm impressed, and I'm so honored that people would want to purchase my work and like that in a sketchbook form. And of course, I said, you know what, I told that person, I DM'd him right back, I said, just hang tight, we're going to get a sketchbook out eventually. So that might be something that I will do in the future, is either putting sketchbooks or some simple downloadable books that give you some basics of storyboarding, have some of the sketchbook stuff. I know in the past I've done a few you know, independent comics and things like that, and those were fun to do. But I will try to start putting this. Well, I'm just getting started right now with the live streams. We did an Instagram live stream this past week. This is my first time on YouTube. I just want to be able to reach different audiences and stay sort of consistent for what we're doing. So let's get in and get some drawing in. And how we're doing it. I think during my last live stream on Instagram, we were talking about some basic shapes and forms and things like that. So let's talk about that. You know, it's interesting. Let me just go through. I had some images I already pulled up. Everybody's expecting images like this when you see a final storyboard. This would be a particular a frame from a advertisement pitch, more of a concept design of what we're doing. This is pretty fancy, you know, compared to what the basics of what you're doing as a storyboard artist to tell a story. This is sort of the final concept to say, hey, listen, we want to do that deal with you. You know, this is what the vision is to get that client to sign. And when you're working with an advertising or commercial spot type of storyboard, you're not doing very many frames. You're doing a few frames that are sort of like the beat points or the beats within the commercial, the 30-second spot. And how do I get that customer to buy? And how do I get that client to sign on with our agency? Because I got a great board here. We got an artist here that can do the work and sell your product or whatever service that you're trying to do. So that's one thing there. A couple other things I have. Let's turn that off. Go on to something else. This would be more of a storyboard that we would be showing for a possible film. This is a storyboard with some line work and you know, some script there, but it's pretty much, you got some value, you have some camera direction of what's going on with that, and that's what this type of board looks like here. When I'm usually working at home, I do a lot of scribbles. I do a lot of scribbles with pencils, with pens. Lately I've been using just this simple paper mate blue pen. It just flows nicely on copy paper, and I throw those thumbnails out as fast as I can. This is just using a mechanical pencil, just ripping off those frames as fast as I can. So when I'm working with the script, I'll have a shot sheet with me. I'll be doing those shot by shot by shot of what I think should be done in terms of relating that to the script. My buddy Eric Yamamoto, fantastic storyboard artist. You can check out his live streams. He's been showing his audience how to break down a script and break it down into the thumbnails, creating the shot list, breaking down the thumbnails and sort of the final rough thumbnails. And he was doing a great comparison to the movie The Thing. Fantastic. It's up there on YouTube. Check him out and watch that series of broadcasts. He goes from beginning to end on that. Absolutely fantastic. I do sort of the same thing. Everybody has a little bit different workflow in terms of what they're doing. Some people automatically go right into doing their work on the computer. Others, like myself, I got to do a lot of thinking. And what's too bad about all this work that we're doing is it's all sort of disposable. We do all this work, and eventually it gets either saved and becomes piles, or it's gotten rid of, because the next step, it's just the iteration of the storyboard process. And for me, it's just my thinking, and it's fun to go look back at some of this stuff to go, okay, this is where I was thinking, but the final ended up project, commercial, short film, whatever it might be, doesn't look the same because you've had iterations of doing that work. So okay, let's go back over here. What else do I have start up for you? These are more of a fancy storyboard in terms of what we were talking about. It's a lot of detail. You have the girl, you have the car. I'm trying to sell a car here, so a little bit more of an advertising board. It's sort of that final thing you would see in a book or something like that. There's a lot of detail on there in terms of what we're doing. It's not necessarily the things I do. This is sort of the final step. It's I guess the ooh la la of the process of what you're doing. Let's see, what else do I have up here for you? Same type of thing here. It's like, wow, check that out. That's a huge sequence beat within the film or something like that. But day to day, this isn't the thinking process of what we're going to be talking about today. So what else do I have? You have something like here. I guess it was just Batman Day the other day. Threw together my take on a little bit of Selena Kyle's Catwoman and Batman. These are pretty detailed boards for a beat shot. Give you the essence of that particular scene beat within a film of what you're trying to do. So, okay. See if I have any other images here to show you. Okay, we're sort of back here. Okay, so this is my live stream. Let's bring that back over here. So when I am working in Photoshop and doing my initial sketches, I'll have my layers. Let me make sure you can see my layers over here. Yes, you can. I usually have a gray layer. I like drawing on gray. When it gets late at night, if you're on white and you're working on black on white, black ink on white paper, it just goes a little crazy, and your eyes go funky. So I try to use a gray background. I'll go, and this gray background's at 9% right now. I can go a little bit darker if I need to and sort of go that way. If I'm working on a board or something like that, if this is a single panel, I'm ready to rock and roll because I already have my sort of letterboxing there. And then I have some extra things I do with film grain. I'll get some film grain up on my film sort of storyboards as a quickie process. I'm always trying to think of efficiencies of how can I be efficient in what I'm doing and creating. So it's pretty quick, and I can bust out real quick of what I'm trying to do. Okay, so let's talk about drawing and the basics of what we're drawing. Let's get this cut down a little bit. Let's see how this pen feels a little bit. Let's go in here a little bit more. Okay, that feels pretty good there. And hopefully you can see everything pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so like in any other art teacher will teach you, you know, if you're trying to do something complicated or whatever, you'll have your circle. If you're drawing a human head, you'll have your circle. You know, the basics of what you're doing here. You'll sort of have your construction lines of your face, of what you're doing, how you'll do it, you know, where your nose is in terms of what you're doing, your eyes. And we can play that sort of game of what we're trying to do here in terms of, you know, drawing. And, you know, you have your basic construction of how these things are done, and, you know, and then, you know, and we can learn, whether it be Bridgman or somebody else who's teaching, you have all your disciplinary things of how to construct the human face, whether it be a front profile or a side profile, same type of thing. These are the basics of what you're, you know, what you're doing here. Or how you're doing it, and those, you can learn those things. But I try to come up with what are the cheats? How can I create this quicker? How can I have that sort of shape knowledge in terms of getting things done quicker, so I can put my shot together quicker, put my panel, my frame together. Whether you're a storyboard artist, you know, creating a frame for a shot, or you're a comic book artist doing your quick your panel, and in between panels, I try to come up with a sort of a language for myself. So one of the things that I do for women, we were talking about this earlier this week, is I'll usually create like either it's going to be a circle. Women are usually with curve lines, either S or C curve lines. For men, I'll usually draw in a box format. Everything's sort of boxy in terms of what we're doing. So I'll come in there for a woman. I try to have, this is more of a diamond, but either that or some sort of circle, you know, but some sort of flow, you know, that looks like that for either a woman or man. I usually try to put this down. If it's something simple for a face, for a woman, I'll just come in there real quick, and I'll do sort of the brow line, a little bit like here. I'll put the smile in, some eyes, ears, and then have the neck in there for you. And then just whatever she's going to do for hair, you know, I'll just come in there. It's pretty simple. I want to keep it sketchy. This almost to the point is too complicated, you know, for what I'm trying to do for a storyboard. But I'll be like that, you know, and that's sort of the quickness of the drawings that I'm trying to do, because I want to focus on the storytelling. I want to focus on the composition of the shot. I want to get past the drawing part, but we're sort of talking about the drawing. So these are little cheats that I do. So let's try that one more time to show you again, and we'll do both a male and a female real quick. So let's do that back again. Let's create a new layer here. So like I said, let's get a little bit thicker line here. Let's talk about men and women. So for a woman, you know, like I said, I'll just come up with that sort of diamond shape here, like this, okay? And for a man, let's just say that's the female's head. And then and this is and then over here, I think of men in square shapes. And so for a man, I'll come up with the square shape. So with that, if I go back in and I get some lines in there of color, all I'm thinking about is, you know, I'm thinking about the woman's nose, sometimes I don't even have to show it. I'll just put it in there, lips right there, just get it in there. I'll come in there with the eyes. It'll be simple of what we're trying to do. Do the outline over head, ear, forehead, and let's just give her some attitude here. You know, it's simple. So if I'm drawing that storyboard, you know, I don't know why I always draw bigger earrings on all the women I draw, but that's the way it goes. It's right here, and that's here. It's ready to go. It takes no time at all, and you know, just I'm trying to conserve those lines. For a man's face, let's scoot this over just a tad bit. We'll do the same type of thing again. I'm thinking in terms of the nose itself. Men have sort of a bigger nose. Maybe I'll draw that nose in there like this. I'll have that lip, a little bit of drop shadow. He'll have his chin, and then I'll do the same thing with the eyes. You know, sometimes I don't even show the iris of the eye. I'll just go in there and show it. You know, they'll have that square jaw. I'll put that in. If it's more of a hero type of character, here's his ears down here, you know, and we could have some sort of fun with that. You know, it's just pretty simple for what we're doing. And then if you want to get a little bit more technical or complicated with it, if you're asking for a little bit of drop shadow or some blacks in there, sometimes I'll come in and I'll just add that little bit of color, you know, add that little bit in there so things pop a little bit. But I'm just throwing in some color. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just adding in enough to tell the story because I want to get on to the next frame. So my gentleman here, let's just say we want to add some hair to him. There you go. Give you some hair, buddy. Give you a little bit of mustache. That goatee. And you can have fun with it. You can shoot it back again. And, you know, and then now you can start developing your characters a little bit more in terms of what you're doing, you know, how you're doing it. So there's some basics there. So with that said, hey Eric, how you doing? Thank you for joining the live stream here. I appreciate it. I hope your sons have a great football game today. I appreciate you joining in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's go back to this simple standard. Like I said, this is a female and a male in terms of the head shape here. But let's talk about the bodies. Let's go into that down and sort of what can we do from here in terms of there's the simplification of a female head, a male head. Let's scroll it down a little bit. We'll put that right there for ourselves. Okay. Cool, that's done. Let me check the chat real quick. Cool, we're doing good. Thanks for everybody joining. I appreciate you joining in today. We're talking about the basics of drawing for storyboards. Okay, so let's talk about male body, female body, sort of proportions. I'm not going to, usually most art teachers are teaching you, or the Marvel way to draw or whatever, or drawing the Marvel way, excuse me, is 8 heads. 8 heads of to make up a human body, and you usually see that a lot when people are doing it. 8 heads high, and that's how they usually draw a body. Okay, and then they'll have their head up here, your shoulders, usually about the 4th head, hips, and then your legs. In terms of what you're doing here, I try to simplify everything to what works for me. There's just different variations of what you're doing. I think when you're storyboarding, whether you're just getting started or you're pro working out there in the business, I think it's to find that sweet spot for yourself so you can produce your boards as fast as you can and get the imagery across. It's not about the drawing. It's not about how detailed it is. We usually see that, and it's usually the end byproduct for a book or something else, or a concept or a pitch or something like that. I try to come up with those cheats, you know, and you're fine with something like this. If it's some sort of stick figure or whatever it is, some people, you know, they just sort of have their this is even too complicated, where they just have their stick figure. You know, what is that character doing? You know, what is the emotion that they're trying to do? Other folks show it here, so I'm sort of, you know, I have my character here, and I'm more silhouetted in terms of what I'm trying to do. You know, there's all different ways to cut down, to make sure that these things are getting done. So sort of what I do here is I just try to think of those shapes I had. I had that, let's just say I'm going to draw a female body, or female. I'm gonna draw that, got a little bit of latency here. I'll draw that same position. You can see how quickly that face is. It's nothing to it, right? I'll come in, and I want her to have some interesting shapes to her. I'll just come back down here, do something like that. I'll draw the neck in. Okay. What I'll do is for the chest for a woman, I'll just make an X, have a circle, and then I'll sort of be something like that. So this is sort of the shape language that I'm looking at real quick. It's pretty simple. Let's get a layer over there to show you. So if I'm drawing that shape, it's just, if we're thinking shape language, I'm just drawing that sort of diamond, an X, a circle, and pretty much what I'll do here is I'll just come down here and draw something like this. You know, that's pretty much what I'm thinking of. You know, you have your appendages for what you're doing, and then you'll have the woman's legs, whether it be together or whatever it is. Let's get that down a little bit, finish my character. So if you're thinking, I'm thinking in terms of that shape language real quick. I'll go back to my drawing, and then I'll pretty much just come in here and just finish the drawing. So if I'm here, just get this done here. A little bit of latency here. But this is all I'm thinking about when I'm drawing that drawing. This is even still a little too complicated. You know, I'll be back here. Correct it out. So I'll do that female drawing like that. The male drawing, let's do that over here. Like I said, I use the squares. In terms of what I'm doing here. In the same type of scenario, he'll have his broader chest over here. Same type of system here. Looks like I'm drawing Dave Bautista. And I'll just be drawing these simple shapes to create this character. So it's sort of the basic construction of what I'm thinking, and the film language, or the form language I'm thinking of when I'm creating those shapes. let's go back over here. Okay, so let's talk about the basics of what we're doing. I think some of those got a little complicated, but again, it's just keep those shapes simple, keep it flowing in terms of what you're doing. I sort of think in silhouette and shape. So if I'm drawing a character, I'm sort of thinking at them, draw that angle that works for you. You know, if it's a woman, I know she's going to be here, but make that image interesting. Show me all sides of what we're trying to do. You know, that if we look down the character like this side should be different. Give me that great silhouette in terms of what we're trying to do here. You know, make it look interesting in terms of what we're trying to do. Whether if she's wearing a dress or whatever else, you know, make that interesting in terms of for your storyboarding. Make the character dynamic. You know, think about those, you know, S curves. Think about those C curves. You know, when you're drawing that character, or whatever you're trying to do. Maybe I'm just going over his back and he's hunched down and he's trying to go a villain, and he's trying to think of something that he's doing that's up to no good. You know, you have that. You know, whatever he's doing is no good. You know, it's that S curve that we were talking about in terms of what we're doing. Oh, get a little bit of latency here. You know, those are the type of things that we're looking at. Let me check the chat here. How's everybody doing? Doing okay? Very cool. Appreciate everybody joining on today. Okay, let's go back to it. Let's start boarding a little bit. Let's put some frames together with this simple language and sort of how do we formulate these boards. So let's go ahead and get some drawing in here. Everything that we do when we're drawing is always within the frame. That's what storyboard artists do, but it's always within the frame itself. So what I'll do here, just come up with a bunch of frames and show you that simple language of what we're trying to show. We can go into later videos or live streams on how to tell a story sequentially, talk more about the composition, talk more about staging of your characters. But let's take those basic practices that we were just talking about with the simple figure in terms of what we're trying to do, and try to create some panels here with that scenario. And remember, we're just looking for something simple. We know that a woman has that hourglass figure in terms of what we're doing here. And a man will have be a little bit broader on the chest. I always think of that Paul Dini's work from and all the artists that worked on the original Batman animated series, and they really figured out their shape language really quick to come up with some dynamic heroes in terms of what they're doing, and the shape language of getting that character shape down and knocked out real quick. Very interesting, and it's something I think about when I'm doing my drawing. But let's talk about characters and sort of how they look, what they look like in these frames. So let's get our frame up here a little bit closer in terms of what we're trying to do here. Let's put those frames together, okay? Let's just say I have a character right here. And this is why I keep it simple. You got a simple box here. This is what the viewer is going to see in terms of the imagery of what you're doing. But let's go ahead and let's just draw that simple character in here. Say we're going to have a male character in here. Use those simple tools here. Let's see what he's up to. Okay, so there's a character right here. There's one character there. Maybe we'll tell a little story here. Maybe another character is a little bit more foreboding, a little bit bigger. He's going to be holding that character there. Big tough guy. So this is how, when I'm storyboarding, I'll be thinking. Maybe he has a pistol on him or something like that. Maybe it's a guard. We don't know yet. We're just telling the story, but we're using simple shapes here to tell that story. Maybe some basic lines here to say what's going on here. Maybe another guard. Maybe he's a guard here. Doesn't have a gun. This is how I'm thinking. So I'm using simple lines to create this, and maybe another guard has him here. This is the way I'm thinking and sketching in terms of what we're doing here. Try to make it different, in what we're doing. Maybe there's another character over here that's overshadowed. And what's great about working digitally, so if I'm not happy with that, or I want to shrink that down, I can, just work sort of visually here and sort of shrink that down. If I want to add more, some space to this, what's going on. Let's just say I have another character in here that's sort of overseeing everybody. Maybe he's drawn right here, and he's looking over the shoulder, or we're looking over his shoulder, and he's looking on, like what the heck's going on, or he's in control. Maybe he's the king, and we sort of have a scene here within the temple. The fire is coming off. We can get as complicated, but that's pretty much a simple board of what we're trying to do. We can figure out where we want it. When I'm thinking of drawing too, I'm trying to think of where are the main characters, where is the focus going to be. When I'm doing the focus, if I'm doing a rack focus on this particular character here, let's outline him a little quick. A little too big. Okay, so if I'm rack focusing, this character, so you have this character here, and another character here, which is our focus character. He's who we want to focus on. And then you sort of have your sort of third characters here. That are our B priority. So with this character here, what I might do is I'll come in and just add some shade to him. color on here. And just have them in here, that's sort of that color here. He's sort of, if that's a rack focus, he's going to be blurry. I can either blur it in Photoshop. I'm just sort of thinking like that's not really my focus. My focus isn't these two gentlemen either. So what I'll do is I'll come up with another color for them. They're not really the focus of what I'm trying to do. You see them, but they're not really the focus. The main focus is this character right here in the middle, and then I'll come through. I want to make sure, I know quite a few fantastic storyboard artists, and they used light to focus on where you want your eye to be. And I think that's an absolutely fantastic process and technique. So if I want my focus on this character, your eye is always going to go to that brightest source of what we're doing here. So you as the viewer, your eye is going to go to that light source. So this is a simple way that I come up with a quick panel. I'm just using color right now. I'm using some basic values. I'm not using anything fancy. I'm just no fancy Photoshop tools. I'm just using basic grayscale value, and sort of laying out my basic lines, laying out where my eye is going to go, and it's going to go right to that character in the middle. And then you can play with the shots. So let's go ahead and continue using these basic drawing techniques to go on to the next shot, and see where we can take this story a little bit. So let's move on over here. And maybe we want that close-up now. Now we want that detail of that particular character that's being held by the guards. So if he's going to be the focus, you know, I want him front and center. We want to make sure that those things are getting done within the shot. So let's go ahead and come up with another layer here. And we're going to use that technique, right? So we're going to have that sort of boxy head here. So we're going to sort of look at that, and we're going to look at him. And let's just say let's have him looking down. He's been beat up a little bit. He's upset. Now I'm going to go and add that little bit of detail in there to show his emotion, what's going on. He's not happy. Of course not. If he's younger, maybe he's an older person. So I'm going to add some bags under his eyes, a little bit weathered warrior. Let's add that in there real quick. Been beat up pretty good by the guards. And this is the type of simplicity that I'm doing in terms of, you know, how I'm boarding, how I'm thinking, what's going on, this simple stuff. I'm not looking for a perfect drawing. I practice all the time, so I expect myself to be a little bit faster in terms of what I'm doing. You know, so I'll just come in there. That guard, we want to see their hands on there, you know, because the guard was on him. The other guard had him here. Maybe we see the guard's hand holding him over here. Sort of get a light background here, showing a little bit of the room. He's there. You can do all sorts of stuff with him. All depends on, you know, how do you want that character to look, you know. He's a warrior. He was just here. Like I said before, you go in there, add some of that background on there too with a lighter gradient of what we're doing here. So I'll go in there. We're going to be just quick in terms of what we're doing. We want him to be the focus, so I'm going to go and get this background a little bit out of his way. So we're going to focus totally on that character. Okay, maybe there's another value real quick in there for the hands of the soldiers. So we know that they're right there, hold him down, and then sort of the focus on him. And you could have some fun with him if you need to. Let's give him a lighter value. Because we were talking about that light technique a little bit. So let's get him in there. In terms of what we're doing, and then we want to say, okay, where do we want the focus on him? You know, I want it on his eyes. I want to see what he's up to. What is he thinking? You know, maybe I'll just come in there and, you know, what am I looking at here? And so when my eye is looking at this shot, it's going straight to his eyes. Okay, so let's just say we have this shot over here. And what is he looking at? So we're over here. The king's has him. King's looking at him. This is the king's point of view, looking at this prisoner that's over there. And then we're going to go back to the king again and sort of see him and what's going on with him. So we're going to use that same basic line work we were doing before. So a lot of artists, I know I do it all the time too, a lot of storyboarding is getting reference and reference material to get everything you need to tell the story. This is all coming out of my mind's eye from reading the script or working with a director or my client going, okay, this is sort of the scenario. We're doing this in real time, and I'm either using pens or pencils, something like that, sitting in the same office with them, which is absolutely phenomenal. What an experience. And then also to using your stylus at home, you know, or if you have your iPad Pro, and keeping that stuff going. That's how we can tell these stories. Limited tools, but tell the story. I'm all about telling the story here. Okay, so let's take that shot back. Back with the king. Okay, so we want him to look regal. We want him to look powerful. We could do it in a couple different ways. We can show everybody in the room, whether it be something like this where I have the king. He's let's go and think of something too. Let's think of those rules of thirds for our composition. And rules of thirds, we're sort of just breaking down that shot like this. And we want to make sure somewhere in these 4 sequences we have that focus of what we're trying to do. And that's where that eye is going in that shot when we're composing that shot. So with that said, let's get some drawing in here. Let's think about that too. Maybe the king is here, sitting on his throne. Remember those simple lines we were talking about? So he's sitting there. He is putting up his hands to talk to everybody. Whoop. That's fine. And maybe he's not sitting, but he's standing. So we're thinking of those lines here. He's got the massive shot. He's got the helmet. He's got that area. We're sort of all looking at the king. You know, what's going on here? The king has his queen or the maiden. Maybe she's in here too. So we're thinking of those simple shapes. And she's there. Maybe there's other people around there. And maybe over here, they're looking out here. And we'll see how we do this here. And here's our prisoner. You know, over here we have one guard. You know, they're standing there in terms of what we're doing. The guards are here. They have their spears. Maybe you have the temple that they're in, the staircase that they're on. You know, we're sort of looking at this shot in this sequence in terms of what we're trying to do. That's here too. If you wanted to add your detail to or your little bit of value to this shot. What's great is it's economical. We're whipping this stuff out real quick. We want to sort of have that focus on that king. So we're going to make him with that white color in here. He's going to be that focus. Maybe he's with the queen and the focus is with the queen as well. It's here, but it's like, this is our focus. This is where our eye is going to go. You know, then behind him, sort of in that middle ground. We have the crowd. All looking on. And then in the foreground, we have our main like I said, in the foreground, maybe we have our soldiers. Here, and maybe what we'll do is we could add that speck of light to show that he's looking at him for that. We could do the shot like that or do the other shots. Talking about characters, so like we said before, here we're sort of looking at this story that we're creating together just on the fly. Prisoner comes up. King is forceful. He's bigger in the shot. He's taking a look at the prisoner. You get to look at the prisoner. Oh my gosh, what did I do wrong, Your Majesty? You have the shot here of, you know, here's the king with the queen. The soldiers are here. All the people of the kingdom are around. You know, that's sort of the basic storytelling, and we can continue telling the story, but we're talking about the drawing too. Maybe we'll throw in, do something a little bit different here. Maybe we'll go back to the, usually in a lot of these fantasy films and things like that, usually you see the king's daughter and the prisoner sees the princess and falls in love or whatever type of thing, or she has an another motive on what to do and how to go about it. So again, I appreciate everybody jumping in on the stream. I really appreciate you being here. I know it's almost 12. It's 12:30 now over here, and I appreciate you getting up and just joining in and being part of this chat. I'm just having fun with you. I'm getting better. I hope to get better every time I'm doing one of these live broadcasts. And once I'm done with this live broadcast, I'll go and we'll see how YouTube works to edit the video together to give a more formal training. I know over time, I know I'll improve in terms of what I'm trying to do. So we're an hour into it. Let's do a couple more drawings and sort of call it a day. But again, let's get back into the simplification of the drawing. So while we're going along with this little storyline here, why don't we take a crack at that princess who was looking at the prisoner here. So like I said, let's get that simple shape going on. For her, let's get her face in there. Okay, we're sort of going to look at her. I usually start with the nose, then her eyes, in terms of what we're doing. She's just there looking on. Diego, I'm really happy. Thanks for the note. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the process of watching it with me. I hope to, like I said, get better and better doing these live broadcasts. It's you're sort of on the spot here, being live and streaming. I have a lot of respect for the folks that are doing these live streams. You're sort of doing it in real time and seeing how we're doing here. So let's go ahead and finish off this this character here. Sort of draw her in here. And that's what I love about Photoshop is you can move this all around, a little bit different. Let's give her we'll make her some sort of a futuristic princess, or how we're going to do this. I guess I was just thinking of Princess Leia with all the buns in her hair. Just having fun with this. Let's see here. Let's give her those. I know a lot of artists too, they talk about it carving into what we're doing. Now I'm just noodling this thing now. Okay. But she's here, you got the people here. Maybe the king was right here, so we would have seen him all regal and royal. As she's looking at the prisoner. Let's get him. Old school furs on him. Type of thing, and then we can play with that like we were talking about, some simple values. terms of we're sort of focusing on her. So let's go ahead and we want the king to be knocked out a little bit here. We know that the king is there. So let's go while he's talking to the prisoner. We want to be focused on the princess here. So the princess, like I said, we're going to use her. Oops. We want her to be the focus. So we're going to focus on her. So we're going to pop her out a little bit because we're doing that. And don't know if we need it or not, but maybe we have another value for the people that are there. All the crowds that are watching or whatever. It needs to be a little bit lighter. Make it darker. Okay, whatever. So there's our sort of story here too. Another thing that it's important when I'm boarding and I'm doing this style and of boarding is also put in your numbering in there. You want to communicate to your person watching or looking at your boards. You know, that's panel 1, that's panel 2. Oops. Panel 3, panel 4. So let's go back here and sort of have fun with this story again. So here we have the king. He's overlooking the prisoner. 2 guards are holding up. We obviously, all it is a bunch of scribble lines, simplifying shapes, forms, and those type of things for what we're trying to do here. We go over here. We have the point of view of the king looking at the prisoner, get a close-up of some of his emotions. This second shot here, we're focused on his eyes. What is the prisoner feeling? You know, then we come over here and we see the grand throne room. We have the king sort of over here, and he's projecting out to the prisoner. You know, you have the beautiful princess that's here. You have the guards. You have the crowd within the shot. And then the princess is looking over at the prisoner too. And is there something going on? Those type of things. So we can keep going with this story and having fun with it. But again, it's just those basic shapes, and that's what we're talking about today. What are those little cheats? You know, having a strong use shape, use silhouette, use those basic things to communicate the drawing. I know we went a little bit with that, the values and stuff with this particular sequence, you know, for what we're trying to do here. But we're not going to forget about these basic shapes. We're not going to forget about this stuff. We're not going to forget about the basics of what we're trying to do here. And that is to communicate, tell the story, move it forward. The hard part with this is all, like I said, the thinking work. This is all the work that we're doing to put into the rough or the final you know, storyboard panel for what we're doing, and we're trying to keep it super simple, keep it loose, keep it flowing, have fun with it. Remember those basic shapes that we were showing over here for man, woman, and you could do it for other creatures and things like that too, dinosaurs, whatever. So you know, everything is shape knowledge. And I'd love to do some more videos here and go more into composition in terms of dynamic poses, composition, staging, how to move the camera through your storyboard shot, all that type of stuff. So those would be all different things that we could work on together here in these live streams or in the videos. So just for example, let's just say that you know, we're drawing some sort of creature, dinosaur, or something like that. Think of those real simple shapes. If I'm just going to draw some sort of creature in here, you know, whether it be a dinosaur or whatever it might be, you know, I'm just freehanding this stuff. You know, I'm just thinking of those simple shapes. I'm just sort of sketching out really quick of where can I take this particular creature. In terms of what we're doing. You know, what can it be? Is this a dragon? Is this? It could go wherever it wants to go, but just having that basic knowledge of what you're trying to do. Let's just say it was a T-Rex or something like that, and it's right here for that shot in terms of what it is. Get that sort of Godzilla patterning on it and stuff like that, you know. It's just that basic stuff, and you know, let's get a little bit of color, some blacks underneath him. In terms of what we're doing here. Oops, what happened there? Pen went gigantic. You just have fun with it. It's all learning. It's all practice. You know what's going on. You know, in terms of the shot. But it's that basic shape language that you're trying to do here whenever you're drawing. And all it is it's pretty much a circle, rectangle, and just sort of like when I was learning to draw dinosaurs as a kid, it was funny. It was always the pair diagram, because they usually drew dinosaurs like this, where their tails went like that. So, and then Jurassic Park came out, and now you have dinosaurs looking like that or walking like that. So I always laugh, because I always think of that pear shape, but it's just that shape language. That's all we're trying to do, and it doesn't matter which way. All you're trying to do at the end of the day is communicate the vision to your director, and what's going on for what you're trying to do to get that shot. But it's the simple shapes. It's the silhouette. So if I knock out the drawing on this, it's just the silhouette. Okay, and what we're trying to do to put these shots together. I hope you had a great time today. I hope I was able to communicate with you and give you some great value of sort of on my process of drawing, the simplification of what you're trying to do to be a storyboard artist. Again, don't forget the practice. Practice every day. Hopefully you learned something today, and take these things. Go off and go do your sketches. Go to that cafe, whatever it might be. Now, he takes great care of himself, but what helps is that consistency. It's that muscle memory. It's the muscle knowledge. Have some sort of form of, whether it be, like I said, whether it be a sketchbook or whatever it might be, utilize those tools, take the time to draw, learn, make mistakes. This is, you know, all these drawings I did today are just they're just there for thinking process. We told a quick little story, but they need to be disposable. You can't fall in love with these things, because if I'm working with a client or a director or whoever, we're going to go through iterations. And if I spend all day noodling on something and it looks perfect and everything, it looks like a pure magazine illustration, it might get tossed out. So I want to be able to have a quick strategy of thumbnailing, of basic shape knowledge, basic silhouette, tell the story, use a little bit of color, get some energy and some emotion into that shot, move on to the next one. It's about speed and accuracy, but also good drawing skills of what you're trying to do. So use those sketchbooks, whatever tool, pen, pencil, Sharpie, whatever you got, just go draw. Spend a little bit of time each day. Have something like this. Maybe hold yourself accountable on Instagram. Post daily. Show people your work. Have fun with it. Keep that process going for yourself, and you'll see over time you're going to get better and better and better, because you'll be learning different things. Well, I appreciate you all joining with me today. I'm excited. Next week we'll do something completely different, and I have work that's taking me to Las Vegas next week, so I'm trying to put together a live broadcast. I'm going to bring all my equipment with me on my business trip to Las Vegas, and I thought it would be fun to say, live from Las Vegas, storyboarding with Paul. So, and I was trying to come up with some storytelling things. I might write a quick script, that would do well to Martin Scorsese or somebody like that. Something about, I always love the movie Casino. And so I'm thinking of all the characters, and if there's some sort of story we can put together next week, have some fun, use some of these basic techniques. Maybe we focus on just basic storytelling. Maybe we talk about composition or staging the sequence or something, but using that Las Vegas style. So thank you for watching so much. Please don't forget to give me a like real quick. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll leave that up at the end. But I'll see you next week in Vegas. Take care and have a great day. Thanks for joining me.